Solo players rejoice. That's right, Greg's of accounting. No longer will your life be meaningless and depressing because you're in a failed marriage and your kids don't appreciate you. You can now run down to your basement and be recognized for the badass you are. Because you can now get a first 1,000 players achievement. That's right, Hall of Fame achievement now for solo Delve content. So for those of you who don't know, or maybe haven't been doing Delve content, there's always that final Delve boss, that double question mark fight. It's been a lot of fun. And for Midnight, the first season at least, our new final double question mark Delve boss, his name is Nullius. Okay, Nullius, I guess you can call him. And this is what he looks like, right? So he's your typical double question mark. He's going to have a bunch of different mechanics to go through. You get an achievement for soloing him. Well, now they're adding in a Hall of Fame achievement on top of that because Blizzard has been enjoying watching people try to do this thing, and a lot of times people don't start to really get into it until towards the end of the season. Like myself, I really do prolong that content for a little bit towards the end of a season. Well, now you're going to be rewarded for jumping in with your lowest eye level possible, your lowest gear possible, as early in the season as possible, because if you're one of the first 1,000 players, you will get the fabled Let Me Solo Him, Nullius, 1,000, first 1,000 Hall of Fame achievement. That's right. And the interesting thing about this achievement is it doesn't matter if you're NA or EU. This is not based on regions. So yes, you will be one of the first 1,000 in the world. So this will be a really cool achievement to have for sure. And you'll get the title Fabled Vanquisher of Nullius. So this will become a seasonal thing for solo players. Honestly, pretty damn cool. I've really enjoyed the Delve content for what it's been. I think it's been a great add to the game, and these little solo boss fights have been a ton of fun. It's like the new challenge mode of World of Warcraft. And again, for all the solo Andes out there, happy for them. Eggsy, 17 months. Not like this. That's not right. Like this. Thank you, Eggsy. I appreciate that. 17 months of being a Death Knight of our Scourge. All right, moving on. Big changes to healing. That's right, big changes to healing in Midnight. We're going to talk a little bit about this. Healers will no longer be able to interrupt. Now, before you throw your arms up, let's see what Blizzard's reasoning is behind this. So, first off, let's talk a little bit about diminishing returns, because that's another thing that's being changed here. As a brief refresher, diminishing returns causes spell effects like Fear and Root, when used again, right, back-to-back succession, to have a reduced effectiveness. So if you didn't know this already, you double fear, you triple fear during a fight. Every fear that you do, those mobs get feared for less and less time. Previously, that diminishing return would go from 100% to the second time being 50%, and the third time being 25%, and then the fourth time they would become immune. Well, Blizzard wants less of that happening. So now you're going to go from 100% to 50% to immune right away. No longer will there be that 25% jump. I actually kind of like this. I've always thought kind of just constantly being feared and all that stuff has never been a fun mechanic to deal with, and it's not really a fun thing to watch other people do either. So the diminishing return being a little bit more, that's okay. It takes more tact, you have to be more tactile then in how you're going to actually use these things. So in Midnight, the diminishing return will now go from, as I said, 100 to 50 to immune. And we have reduced the amount of time, though the diminishing return has to reset itself. So from 18 seconds now to 16, so it won't take as long by the time they're immune to be able to use it again. Additionally, in PvE combat, in Midnight, stun effects will no longer ever become fully immune against creatures susceptible to stuns. Rather, the duration will go from 100 to 50 to fully immune like it was before. Now, instead, they will go lower and lower in duration until they reach a fraction of a second. Now, why that's interesting and why that's good is that can be used as an interrupt still. Right, so you got your little stun effects, and they won't really be stunned anymore. They can't be immune to the stun, but you can use it still as an interrupt if you've used it multiple times. So that'll keep that little interruptibility of a stun effect still there. Now, when it comes to interrupts, yeah, Blizzard's pulling a big one here. Healers will no longer be able to interrupt in Midnight. Healing in general, if you'd go for a healing spec, interrupts will be completely removed from your utility. Now, I think that's going to lead to a lot of problems in terms of feedback right now. I think people are going to lose their damn minds. You guys can message in the chat if you're a healer out there. I don't know how you're going to feel about not being able to interrupt things. I don't know how that goes towards delves and solo ability, but Blizzard has their reasons here, and they're trying to make healing easier in the game. They went on to say, healing can be a stressful role when you must manage several things at once. Your own healing abilities, your team's health, and the enemy actions. We feel like asking a healer to monitor cast bars or things they don't have, they don't have targeted at the time while properly using their interrupts is way too much to ask. In Midnight Alpha, this week, we've removed access to interrupts for healer specializations except Restoration Shaman. So you will keep your Wind Shear Totem and things like that for Resto Shaman, which is interesting. Is that going to make Resto Shaman now part of the meta because they're the only ones that can interrupt as a healer? These talents will be replaced with other talent nodes for healer specializations in the future Midnight Alpha builds. We recognize that this is a significant loss for utility in some circumstances. Ghost coming in with a sub, man. Thank you. 5 months in a row. Prime and Death Knight of our Scourge, man. Thank you. In some circumstances, we want to make sure their content is available to healers is still completable, right? So you're not going to have the utility. They want to make sure you can still do things that you need to do, say like a double question mark delve boss that we just talked about, especially considering solo experience, such as the special delve boss that I just mentioned here, or any other solo experience challenges. Resto Shaman will keep access to Wind Shear. However, for Resto specifically, the cooldown of Wind Shear will be increased to 30 seconds, so that's a long interrupt cooldown. We like healers to have different capabilities and feel like Wind Shear is an important part of the Resto Shaman toolkit. So honestly, this is a big change. They already are meta, I know, right? And now they're going to be even more so. Massive change. The thing is, I don't know if this is the right direction to go. Taking away any healer's ability to interrupt. First of all, you already got DPSers parsing their asses off and not interrupting properly. Now, the whole thing about interrupting in the game is it's going to become an easier thing and a more visually, visual that you can see better thing. I mean, I'm saying that completely wrong, but you know, Blizzard's adding in their own version of UI. Basically, you got your bars above the heads of all the mobs now. You'll be able to see cast times better. All of that stuff is going to be something that's more apparent, that something needs to be interrupted. So hopefully DPS remember to interrupt shit, because now really it falls on the DPS and of course the tanks, who are still expected to do everything in this game. So no longer will your healer be able to interrupt, which means now not only does that fall off of healers, but the onus falls even more so on the DPS and the tanks to get the interrupts done. As far as enemy behaviors go with interrupt capabilities from healers, being removed from healers, we're making an effort to change the behavior of enemies that use spells like Shoot or Frostbolt. We want enemies with these spells to be more evenly spread with their targeting to different players of your group, which should reduce cases where a single player might have a large spike in damage while others receive none. So changing the way that these guys target before they actually cast, that's a good thing, obviously, as on the back end. Again, if a healer can't interrupt and they get targeted with a spell, well, now they're completely dependent on the rest of the players in their group to interrupt properly, or they're going to die. So that's good to know. And again, we have more to come with classes and midnight testing. We'll continue to outline all of it in our development notes. Yep. So there you go. Based on player feedback, we'll see if they actually add these back or they stick to this thing of healers not being able to interrupt, because it is a pretty big deal. We'll see how that all goes. It'll be more obvious when to interrupt. There you go. Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. So hopefully people will do it more often, and it won't matter that healers can't do it. But besides the big healer changes, we have Phase 4 of Alpha Midnight kicking off this week, so a ton of stuff to get into, specifically PvP. This is going to be a big PvP alpha phase here, and I'm excited to see what happens, because it's the return of World PvP. You guys know I've always been a big fan of Wintergrass, always loved World PvP. I think it's the best version of PvP in the game, and it's because I don't really care for all the competitiveness of Arena and everything, but I love just like massive mobs of people fighting each other and doing things out in the open world. It just feels more real. So anyways, we're getting testing of the Voidstorm Zone, level 88 characters, maximum level 90. The Slayer's Rise PvP zone in the Voidstorm will now be able to be tested. So that's your big open world PvP zone. We'll see how that all goes. Level up campaign local stories. Housing has been disabled for this round of testing. You got your dungeons, your Nexus Point, Xanax, it looks like, Void Scar Arena, Magister's Terrace. For Delves, you got Sunkiller Sanctum, Shadowguard Point. And then classes, you got your class set bonuses. Again, nothing too exciting about these. Blizzard's not really looking to add any kind of intricacies via set bonuses for this round, and it's because of this right here. More class changes. I mean, class changes on top of class changes. If I wanted to read through this shit, we would be here throughout the next stream, just still going through all these notes. So there's a ton of stuff here. I'll link this in the chat so you can check out your specific classes. Will also be linked down below the video, and check out these notes. We'll do a full class review here later today, but right now I think we'll just leave this as a, okay, check out the class notes later. But Voidstorm and the PvP zone, this is a big thing for PvPers, even non-PvPers, to get exposed to PvP maybe. So here's the notes on all of the gameplay intricacies of how PvP is going to work. So the two Dominar, Vidius and Zidan, are fueled by violence and conflict and have claimed the domain of the northern part of Voidstorm, also known as Slayer's Rise. This is our new open world PvP zone. They've recently come to understand that collaborating benefits them more than engaging in war. Vidius and Zidan have used Slayer's Rise to conduct battle exercises, eliminating the weak from their forces and forging a battle-honed army to prepare for war. Some of the members of the Horde Alliance have found this stalemate to be an opportunity that they can take advantage of. Fascinated by faction war, the Dominar identified the most bloodthirsty members of each faction and pitted them against each other. The rising tension caused by the Horde Alliance to pledge their support to the Dominar as the Void forces waste no time in crossing their agreed-upon borders at the path of preparation. So gameplay, Slayer's Rise here was built upon the successes and learnings of the Dragonflight and the War Within, intended to be an outdoor PvP playground that would entice players to immerse themselves in war mode. That's right, getting people to turn on that war mode. I don't know how many of you guys play with war mode on. I did a lot of it back, I do it a lot of times when I'm leveling. I'll turn on war mode for the bonuses that it offered, especially as an Alliance player for a while. But like when I'm streaming, a lot of times I gotta turn war mode off because people just try to, they want to get their 5 seconds of fame and try to kill me while I'm out in the open world. So I've typically played with it off. Also, I just don't like to kill the people as a man of the people. That's a bit odd. I try to remain as a good representative of the people, not show my true power levels on stream. But open world PvP, getting people to actually use war mode, I think is a good thing. I want to see more of it. I would like to see how this is going to entice us. Maybe they'll talk about some of the awards here, or rewards that you'll get for actually PvPing. But you'll do it for the bloody token gear. Yeah, that's always something too, right? Get some cool looking PvP gear. We'll see. But here, you'll come across weekly quests, local stories, and PvP world quests, all of which will be accessible with war mode off. There will be a war mode exclusive events that will fuel battle and grant additional awards. So you can actually interact in the PvP zone and do things without actually, looks like, keeping on war mode and PvPing. Dominar escorts, individual escorts events spawn for your faction. Attack the enemy Dominar and to slow it. The first to complete their escort event wins, so this sounds pretty cool. And then Void Capture event. Capture void energy from barrels in the path of predation and return it to your faction's turning point. The faction with the most energy captured at the end of the event wins. So there you go, some capture resources and some moving of bosses. Honestly, this whole moving of the boss thing kind of sounds like the big ent, the big tree ent that we were moving around in the Emerald Nightmare, or the Emerald Dream, I should say, patch in Dragonflight. If you guys remember, escorting him across as mobs get in the way and attacking certain things and little mini boss fights that occurred. But it adds in that PvP element where you can attack the enemies, guy that they're moving to slow him down. So that's an interesting thing. We'll see how that actually works out in the game itself. Ethereal control zones near Shenzar Refinery. Accumulate points by taking control of the ethereal beacons, 3 in total. The team with the most points after the timer ends wins. So again, another beacon thing. This sounds pretty cool. And then ethereal disruption. Shadowguard ethereal areas in Slayer's Rise are equipped with tools that are at your disposal. These tools can be used to scavenge the area for enemies, which can be turned into Balar or Shanazar, energy, I should say, not enemies, Shanazar refineries for some unique power-ups. Okay, so some ways to get buffs for yourself. Watch out, though. The ethereal energy is, when the ethereal energy is disturbed, you will be affected by the power of the ethereal magic in your possession, of a tool. if you're in possession of. So it sounds like maybe it weakens you if you have it, so you become a really easy target for other people to get you. That's an interesting one. A void scavenge event. During this time, killing players will grant extra void tainted remains on an objective for weekly quests and honor. So there you go, some ways to do some weekly stuff here. And then void post control. Located in the southwest and east of Slayer's Rise are void posts that can be taken control of by either faction, controlling all three to gain a zone-wide buff for your faction that provides extra rewards. There's a lot into this thing. Bringing players together, players will no longer have longed for a PvP hub and hangout area. So this will also act as a PvP hub and hangout area. In the southwest portion of Slayer's Rise, you'll find Master's Perch. Master's Perch is a neutral hub where you can find PvP vendors, portals to and from Silvermoon and different parts of Slayer's Rise, and dueling grounds to warm up for battle before venturing out into the open world. So that's pretty cool. Dueling grounds, you know, there's people dueling out there. We'll see me killing Cadence a couple times. So this sounds fun. A little PvP hub for people who love PvP, a place to hang out and call their own. Construction and Master's Perch is still in progress on this week's build. So we'll see all this stuff tested. Again, big PvP stuff coming in this final zone here. Open world PvP returning. I haven't felt a desire or need or excitement for open world PvP since Wintergrass. It's been quite a while. But maybe we'll see the return of it here with this open world PvP zone coming in midnight. Sounds exciting. We'll see. I wonder how this is all going to work out in testing. Finally, we got some Legion Remix stuff here. Increasing your infinite knowledge. It's bugged, guys. There's a bug right now going on, if you didn't know. The infinite knowledge cap got raised when Phase 2 kicked off for Legion Remix, and it looks like some people gained a bit too much knowledge while clearing Karazhan, which has led to them actually getting less infinite power every time they loot something. You know, so infinite knowledge is supposed to buff the amount of infinite power you get every time you loot. Well, in fact, this had the opposite effect because people went beyond what they was supposed to be given to them for this phase, which led to more and more issues when it came to actually looting infinite power. So Blizzard's probably working on a fix. This is all over the forums. It's on the official WoW forums and Reddit. And if you've noticed this happening to you, just know Blizzard is now made aware of it, and they're going to try to fix it. Killing Cadence a couple times. Sure, Sam. Yeah, that's right. His D-Lulu. Finally, a little Legion Remix story. A player was able to go from level 10 to level 80 in 23 minutes. That's right, hitting cap in less than half an hour. Somebody was able to do that. Now, they did it through a little bit of questionable means. So what they actually did was they created the character, skipped the artifact quest line, turned in the heroic world tier, turned the world tier onto heroic, and then they went to Shield's Rest and Stormheim, where level 80 paladin killed tormented Sky Sunders that were roaming around over and over. And he actually, what he kept doing was switching between different, shards, right? So he was able to continually switch between different shards by logging out, logging in, and during the fights and stuff to continue to pull these the same elite dragon mobs down, kill them over and over, and essentially he farmed this mob from level 10 to level 80 hitting cap level. So, I mean, I would say most likely this is not going to continue to work this way. I think Blizzard's going to see this as some kind of, workaround that shouldn't exist. So they're going to go and end up stopping this from happening. But seeing somebody hit cap level in less than half an hour, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, kind of breaking Legion. That will get nerfed 100%. I'm saying it right now. This will be nerfed. This is not supposed to be allowed to happen. Again, he's switching. You can see it right there. He's tabbing, switching between different shards, logging out, logging in to continue this mob just coming out over and over and then farming it down. Did someone clip that bullshit? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, a fun little thing here. Yeah, hitting cap level in less than 30 minutes. Another thing to report. I'm reporting on all these broken things people have done in Legion Remix. And for now, that is all in terms of news.